Hello and welcome to another episode of CollectaThoughts, the show where I collect my thoughts on video games, and today we're going to be talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. Coming back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Game because, well, I guess I've just been on a bit of a Yu-Gi-Oh! High after Master Duel, I guess. I don't know. There's Souls games coming out, so maybe that will take my time after. Regardless, you're here for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Review, and that's what we're going to be talking about. This is Legacy of the Duelist, a single-player focused game that now is also a bit obsolete because of its more complete version called Link Evolutions, which I also played, but about 2 years ago when the game came out. And so, my excuse to play it again and review it was playing the slightly cut down version called Legacy of the Duel, and that's it. And basically the idea of Legacy of the Duel is really being kind of a, live through the anime experience as you play through a lot of the iconic duels from that series, especially Duel Monsters. And in that, it's honestly probably one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. It allows you to play, iconic duels and experience those decks from those duels from whatever perspective you want. Basically, you play as the perspective of the character that won in the anime, but once you do that, winning I mean, you'll be able to play as the other character as well. And for Duel Monsters it's great. You get to basically go through entire seasons of the anime with each individual duel. Even though clearly you cannot play this game without actually watching the anime, I think you'd just be very confused on why everything is happening. It is just a duel, not really the story in between, even though there is technically some dialogue in between these battles. But adding something to this as well that makes it feel like you're playing through the anime is also the stages. Obviously you get the cards, which is great, but also, it feels like you're playing where the characters played. Like during Duelist Kingdom, you kind of see a top view of what looks like one of those, first season giant dueling arenas, let's call them, before duel discs were a thing. And then later when you're inside the castle, that's what you see, a top view of the board as if you were inside that castle during the finals of that season. But then the game starts getting a bit lazy. Later on, instead of playing every duel that happened in the season, you really start getting only the kind of star duels. Basically only like the really important duels that happen at the end of the season rather than everything before it as well. And adding to that is also, for example, as you start going into GX and 5D, that you don't really see the play mats, let's call them, or the field of the game change much. Most of GX is that very iconic but still, just one field that you have in the show that's the center of the school, if you remember that. And that's for everything, even though clearly, a lot of the duels in GX did not take place there. And that kind of takes away from it. It does make it a more simple and repetitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Game in that matter. Something that also adds to this repetitiveness is how the decks are built. While they're based on the anime, they also take some liberties, which are fine. They do make the game flow better sometimes, but they also can make, for a lot of duels to kind of devolve into a lot of the same thing. Like, I swear every deck in this game has at least one Dark Hole and 3 Call of the Haunted. It's one of those things where I wouldn't mind this in a few decks, but it really feels like every deck has some of these cards in some extent, which, makes it feel like it's some kind of staple in this particular universe. But no, in reality, it really just makes it feel rather repetitive, as a lot of the AI ends up falling into the same routines or kind of strategies. And speaking of AI, I'll also say that the AI is not particularly great. He's kinda dumb. There was definitely quite a few scenarios where I won because I don't think the AI realized that the cards he was using was actually being disadvantageous towards him. Kinda like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player that doesn't know how to read the card. Oh wait, so this is actually a very realistic AI. No, jokes aside, it's noticeably not the best, but also I don't think it's particularly horrible. At the end of the day, they're working with the decks that they built for this AI, and that's always going to be kind of the main thing, as long as the AI functions within the minimum requirements. of being able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's kind of it. There's nothing crazy going on for it. There is online and you can buy packs of cards that you acquire from playing the campaign, but that's about it. It really is more about just playing through the main duels of the anime, and in this case that's Duel Monsters, GX, 5Ds, Zexal, and also Arc V in the case of this game, but Link Evolution also adds V-Rains, which adds the Link summons. So basically, if you're wondering, the biggest difference is Link Evolutions adds the V-Rains campaign, which is fairly short, but it is few more duels and it adds a lot more cards because of the Link summons, but also it is very early Link summoning, so you may not have a lot of what you might want to play with. That being said, for the purpose of this review, I did play the regular version, but as someone who has played Link Evolutions, I will say that is literally just this version plus more content, so that is very much the version I would recommend. Now, if you're a big fan of V-Rains or Arc V, then maybe this isn't the game for you. I will say that both of those campaigns in either version are not very complete. Like I said, after the first Yu-Gi-Oh!, and by that I mean Duel Monsters, the game does get quite lazy and does skip quite a lot, but I would say that GX and 5Ds and even Zexal are still quite complete. That being said, Arc V and V-Rains very much not. They are a lot shorter than the other campaigns, and they're also a lot less focused, I think. So is this for people who want to play through the duels of the anime? Yes, but mostly those who want to play through the earlier eras of Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, if you want to know, and this is an important thing to know I think, is that each campaign does stick to kind of the rules of that era. So you won't really see XYZ summons in 5Ds, for example, and synchro summons in GX. Being said, you can still play these story missions with your own decks if you really want to do something like that. And for those reasons, I do think that Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution specifically, is probably the ultimate way to kind of experience the series after you've watched the anime. It's not for new people, it's not for people trying to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Really, it's for people who enjoy the anime and enjoy the game. You know, maybe they have some nostalgia for it. And in that way, I think those people will enjoy it quite a lot. And for those reasons, and reasons I said before, I am giving Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist a 7 out of 10. In terms of recommendations though, like I said, just go for Link Evolutions. It is the more complete version, it has more cards, it has more missions, it is simply a better version, and I also am guessing that it has a much better, online community, even though I'm sure most people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Online right now are either on Duel Links or Master Duel, which, makes sense. But who knows, maybe you just want to play with some friends and you want to deal with the kind of free-to-play things you have to deal with Master Duel. Regardless of whatever your decision is though, I hope that you enjoyed watching, and if so, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and also disliking now. All the things you can do for free here on YouTube. And regardless of that, I hope you're having a good day. And remember to believe in the heart of the cards. I really don't know what to say anymore for Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. I've reviewed too many of them to make an outro funny. I'm sorry. Goodbye.